In 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 16, it says, "We have the mind of Christ." But what does that mean? Now, most people just ignore that verse because they say it's impossible. How can we think like Jesus? He was God. That's an impossible standard. So they just give up trying and forget about it. But the Bible is very clear. Jesus has given every believer the ability to think like he did. So how did Jesus think? Did he ever have a problem with fear, pessimism, discouragement, or hopelessness? No, he didn't. And how was that possible? It was because Jesus' spirit was so tuned into his Father that it overcame his soul, which was probably wanting to complain about all the circumstances around him. It was his relationship with his Father that kept him undistracted, so he didn't pay any attention to lies that would want to try to attack him. Now, our problem is that our soul, which is our mind, will, and emotions, is always analyzing our circumstances and getting us upset and afraid and negative and down, and it becomes the dominant influence on our mind. But when we have the mind of Christ, we are given a different perspective because we can look at circumstances through both natural eyes and spiritual eyes. So instead of being tied to negative perceptions of what's going on around us, we can have a supernatural spiritual perception and still be filled with faith and power and getting divine guidance even in the face of those same circumstances. Now, Jesus has given every believer access to the mind of Christ, but we have to choose if we want to actually use it. We can stay bound by our soul for as long as we want to and be the victim of all that negative thinking, or we can allow the mind of Christ to become the dominant influence in our thoughts. So how can you do that? Well, you do exactly what Jesus did. He came to model this new lifestyle, to walk with God, listen to Him, talk to Him, be in the Word so that your mind is renewed every day. So the renewing of your mind is so that you can actually access the mind of Christ. To live a transformed life, you have to learn to think like Jesus. Now I want to hear from you. How do you renew your mind every day so that you can have the mind of Christ? Just leave your comments in the box below. We want to know what you do. And if this is your first visit here, you need to get my free self-assessment guide. And to do that, just subscribe to my weekly email newsletter by filling out the subscription form, and you know where it is. It's always right there. And I'll talk to you again next week. But this week, use the mind of Christ.